I'm with you. I think that Black Dragons went from pick number 1 saying, we're going to let him get the Ra, and we'll just see what happens. If he doesn't pick Ra, well, sweet. And if he does, we're just going to murder him. That's what happened. Black Dragons take the win. They tie it up in our best of 3 here. ISURUS will have the first pick and the first ban this time around.
And both of these teams looking to see who is going to be progressing to take on Team Eager in tomorrow's matches. And looking at both of these teams right now, I think that either side could really give Eager a run for their money, pending if the draft is right. Because a lot of the times, it's not necessarily the mechanical undertones that are taking place. It's mostly just been the fact of drafting in the counter engages on top of the initiations. I think that these teams are very solid as far as aggression is concerned, and they can recognize when to tone it down.
Yeah, Eager has experience against the Latin American teams. When they scrim against Latin American teams, they have very similar ping. Latam plays on the North American servers, and it works out. Black Dragons, however, being from Brazil, a little bit less experience, Eager specifically. So very interesting to see how that one might match up. Of course, that's going to be tomorrow. The broadcast starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time, just like it did today here on hi-rez TV. But for now, we got to see who gets there first. Kernanos Susano banned out by ISURUS, Kabrakan and Jonga banned out by Black Dragons, and the first pick Terra come through.
Yeah, I love it. I think Terra performed really well last game. I also like the target bans coming through again. This is great. I mean, we saw the Susano and the Kernanos go off last game, both off the table straight away. We don't want to deal with that. It's gone. It does let other things get through. You know, there's a few gods here like Humbats might get picked up. You know, Terra again, Fafnir, very strong picks. Be interesting to see what we see coming out of Black Dragons here.
Rama is also available for MarcelZ this time around. So if ISURUS aren't looking to prioritize the Rama away from MarcelZ, I think that could definitely be something that Black Dragon lean towards. Yeah,
I think we might see it in these first 2 selections. And if not, I think we see out of ISURUS what we saw out of Black Dragon, where ISURUS just drafts a composition built to destroy a Ram if it is selected. Terra with the root does very well against him right away. Not exactly a cripple field, but can still shut him down just a little bit with some help from her friends. So that's what I would like to see out of ISURUS. Dare Black Dragon to go ahead and pick what you're best at, and we'll just create a composition that destroys it.
There's also the possibility of Serket here for oShip, and the first game around, he had a really solid display on it, but it doesn't even matter. Black Dragon, if Ram's available, we're taking it.
This is so exciting. I have had the opportunity to watch the Ram come out. I've had the opportunity to speak to these guys and some of the people around the Brazilian scene and stuff like that. It's fun. This is what the guy is known for. I'm very excited that we get to see it here in our 3rd match.
Yeah. So MarcelZ is considered basically the Marvels of the Brazilian region, I guess. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, even so, MarcelZ is known for, you know, his Ram snipes and everything. Ram, when it comes to MarcelZ, the whole character, the laning phase, the team fights, it's intense. Like I said, XTT, not even a Ram real player, first picked it last year in Sweden to take it away from this guy right here. So very, I'm waiting in heavy anticipation to see this 100 player come out, and pairing it with a Fafnir. Ram with a Fafnir by itself is scary in anybody's hands.
It's intense. You know, Ram, very auto attack based. So what I'd like to see is if I were Beltway right now and I knew how strong that Ram was, I would be screaming for somebody to give me that Bellona. Yep. I would be screaming for that disarm, screaming for that, you know, that passive, absorbing the auto attack, you know, and just running at him, keeping me out the fights. But now I think we see Black Dragons ban it away, so they've missed a chance there.
Yeah, I think we see the ban come out as well. Fenrir makes an appearance.
Looking for CC in other forms. Fenrir can be pretty strong against Ram in the early laning phases, considering that he does have the 1 jump stun should he have his rune stacked, and then on top of that, his Brutalize will follow a Ram roll. Fenrir is actually very strong initially, because if the cripple isn't happening and the Ram is slightly off the mark, you can still get 2 or even 3 ticks of your Brutalize off in that initial rollout, which then you have the follow-up damage, and it's just devastating. And I'm just not certain, though, that I would have prioritized Fenrir or Thoth over the Bellona, because it's just, you want that disarm.
Yeah. I think so. I expected Black Dragons to ban it. They take it themselves. It has been farmed really well. Kliz, I think, definitely proficient on that Bellona in the solo lane, so we'll see how he brings that through here. The Fenrir Brutalize, I do think, will be a problem for Ram. Does do a lot of damage, and I think that Fen will be picked up to try and carry the Thoth through this early game. Thoth obviously very weak early, and Fenrir putting out a lot of pressure, sorry, from that jungle position.
He's trying to play a little bit of go fetch with his ultimate into Thoth, and I mean, you can't really go wrong with that combination. It is quite a devastating wombo combo if you're able to pull it off. Add a little bit of mobility to that Fenrir ultimate because of the Terra's global, and that's looking like a pretty solid combination of ultimates.
Yeah, I like the competition that ISURUS has come here, because it's not, so it excels at shutting down Ram, sure, but it's also just a very good comp to kill literally anybody, right? Fenrir putting somebody into the direct line of fire out of a burst mage has been going on since literally 2012. This is not a new strategy. We're here 5 years later. Fenrir's still dragging somebody into the direct shot of a burst mage. Not a new thing whatsoever, but still very potent, just like the original days. There's that Circuit ban you were talking about.
Yeah, I think they wanted to take oShip off of these solo carry gods again. I mean,
yeah,
the Susanoo's gone, the Circuit's gone. What's he going to go to next? He has the Fenrir. Maybe they think that's going solo. So that's why they decided to ban away the Circuit. And we see the Medusa gone on the other side. So that's another very strong hunter off the table that does well against Ram.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Awilish possibly for oShip just to try and prevent the Fenrir punishment onto the Ram. And considering that Awilish does provide a lot of early game presence and she scales very well into the mid game stages even, the setup potential could certainly be there for Black Dragon if oShip were to lean towards that direction.
Yeah, I think the Fenrir, I think going Awilish to really shut down the Fenrir, like you said, and have early dominance, because Fafnir, Ram, kind of late game, Bellona herself, more mid game, but even still, I think it'd be a strong look. Or just go really unconventional and find one of those hard carry, something like a Naja or something that allows you to just hard carry the game. You got to pick one of those directions. And I honestly, looking at what Black Dragons have been doing so far, I wouldn't be surprised to see the jungler just come out with something batty that he's known for in his personal world and just destroy.
Yeah, we have seen the Raven jungle come out so far out of the Australian scene, so I wonder if anybody else is going to pick that up. That'd be super interesting. And we see the HughZ ban, which makes me think that they're maybe not looking towards an Awilish pick.
Yeah.
With the Awilish being so strong against the HughZ jump, with it being so delayed. They're delaying that jungle pick, so that makes me think there is something spicy coming out here on the last pick for Black Dragons.
Me too, and I'm getting a little excited here. This is the rubber match, don't forget. Winner of this goes on to take Eager. Loser of this, they're going to pack their bags.
I love the Poseidon pick here for Black Dragon just because of the fact that it has the cripple of that Whirlpool, which it already shuts down the 3 picks that ISURUS has going for them. So if if the timing's right, you combine that with the damage from the Fafnir Coers and your Ram, and even the Bellona having her CC as well from the ultimate, that's a very strong team fighting combination for Black Dragon.
Osiris and Anhur one more time. The Anhur looked very strong last game, unable to find the win, but certainly a good choice. Last pick for Black Dragon. Okay, we've discussed spicy. Now, how spicy? Poseidon jungle?
Bakasura.
Oh, Nemesis. It's not that spicy. Nemesis. Not too exciting.
It's there. It's there. It's
Nemesis.
It's not crazy. Okay, we can calm down. But I do like the overall composition coming through for the side of Black Dragon. I like the Poseidon, I like the Nemesis combination. You can't really go wrong with the cripples into the ultimate with the slice and dice and everything all around.
Listen, they say that, I get this question all the time, whether I'm streaming, just hanging out, or even here in the studio, what's your favorite team? Who do you like to root for? This is exactly the setup that I want. Both these teams, I think, are evenly skilled. There is intelligence coming through the picks and bans. ISURUS drafted to really shut down a Ram. Black Dragon drafted to really shut down what ISURUS picked. This is just good old-fashioned Smite. I think we're going to get a good game. I mean, do I have to ask who y'all think is going to win?
I would have to give it to Black Dragon's draft.
Yeah?
I'll go the other way for fun. I'll go ISURUS.
Yeah, and I'm just going to sit here excited and enthralled that we get the matchup that we have. It's been fantastic. Latin America on the left, Brazil on the right. This one's for all the marbles. Lose or go home. It's HughZ and Anatoliy on the call.
Thank you very much, Tom, and I have to agree with Taco looking at this draft. Once you go Black Dragons, you don't go back, and they're looking very, very strong.
They're always looking very strong. Being able to bounce back after the first game just shows their mentality. A lot of these players in Black Dragons are very well-seasoned veterans. Some of them having some of the experience at Worlds, at a lot of Masters lands, just overall a great sort of experience combined within them.
Yeah, Beltway is one of those names. It's been at Worlds before. Nozik's obviously had that fantastic performance last year, earlier this year, I should say. And Fragger is just, he's been at Worlds before, but he's never really kind of shown off too much. But now this year it's starting to look really, you know, this land has been stepping up.
It's looking good for MarcelZ too in this last and final game. He's got his signature Ram here, and it's going to be paired up with PIBE, playing the Fafnir for those hot coerces, just amplifying that attack speed even further.
So interesting story about MarcelZ is, I believe it was Smite Masters last year at DreamHack when I believe he was on Red Canids, and they were playing against the Latin American team. The Latin American team actually picked Ram first just so MarcelZ couldn't have it.
Well, that's how you know that you have to respect this player. Not just one team, but two recognizes the potential with this Ram, Fragger, and Daelon getting their own purple and red buff Ogre minions, expecting to get invaded on after the first wave, denying the potential level 2 star, but having to retreat under the safety underneath the tower. They're going to miss out on quite a bit of gold here.
At the same time, though, their junglers, their right-hand side is going to be able to go ahead and invade the speed buff on that side of the jungle, and now they're looking towards these fire elementals and potentially even securing their own speed buff.
But stealing away the red buff gives them a slight edge, but giving up the second wave allows the members of ISURUS in the duel lane to be able to out-clear that and then at least zone away from the experience, and as a result, it seems that they're going to try to ignore those oracles, but they're going to get zoned away, and MarcelZ and PIBE, whatever advantage that they just got, they're going to lose that whole wave under that tower.
And look at this, Daelon and Fragger just happy to tank this damage to deny the farm to PIBE and MarcelZ.
Very well tactical use of positioning from Fragger and Daelon. They don't really care about losing the trade in the health department if they can get the better end of it in the gold and experience instead.
Now we've got another wave here being contested. Daelon's going to be able to get a root down over on the right-hand side now. Seeing a little bit of a boxing match go back and forth between these solo lane and junglers. Kliz taking some poke here, but now Beltway is starting to feel the full force of oShip. He slows him down, keeps him away. The Nemesis shield is going to return some damage down onto Smitaro.
And fortunately for ISURUS, the Black Dragons were able to clear the wave successfully. You know, that Bellona bludgeon is not a laughing matter, able to really outclear almost any other warrior in the game, at least in the early stages. You're looking at the level 1 through 3 department, those AoE hammer hits is just going to be so detrimental towards getting that slight edge.
In both of these games, Kliz to me has just been the solid rock of Black Dragons. You know, he might not have been the carry, but at the same time, he was always consistent in what he was doing.
Able to just really dive the backline at any given notice. Even on the game that he played of the Raven, he was doing a good job diving the backline, just making his presence truly felt. And in this game, playing the Bellona, it's going to be a little bit more impactful.
I'm looking at both these mid laners now and the way that they're starting. Both of them have gone for this Soulstone start to give themselves a little bit of extra damage, but we're seeing the Boomba's Mask on Nann compared to a Helm start on Nozzix.
That's surprising considering the fact that, you know, the physical damage from oShip, the penetration rather, he's going to be able to shred that protection away using that ultimate, and this is something that you have to worry about balancing between whether you're going for the health or the protection. Some people will even go for the Wing Blade every now and then.
Continuing kind of on the theme of builds, I'm looking at these hunters, and Fragger, you know, kind of opposed to some of these hunter builds we've seen before, has not gone for a Transcendence. He's gone for this Death Toll and Boots. Same with MarcelZ. So both these hunters looking to take kind of one-on-one fights. Kliz taking a lot of damage for Beltway, but now he feels like it's his turn because here comes oShip.
oShip trying to find the damage, finds a slice and dice, doesn't want to commit under the tier 1 tower with his ultimate, recognizing that Beltway still has Lord of the Afterlife to be able to safely escape if necessary.
Yeah, not overcommitting there, but trying to force out something from the side of ISURUS. You know, again, we're seeing another slow start to this game like we saw in game number 2. Game number 1 had a little bit more aggression at the start, but both of these teams, I think, have really learned from each other that this is a game to take very seriously.
Well, Smitaro is here this time around. It's not oShip finding a double stun. Eagles Rally being used defensively. A heavy over commitment potentially. Nann, though, looking for Smitaro, potentially gets the knock-up. Still waiting for the jump before even throwing out that Whirlpool Kraken, surprisingly enough. Despite the Whirlpool providing a cripple, that could easily set up the Kraken, or at least force out the Purification Beads out of Smitaro.
Force out the Purification Beads, potentially even force out the Ragnarok ultimate as well. But now Kliz is going to be forced back to base here. Beltway's going to prevent him from backing, and this is going to give the side of ISURUS a little bit of an advantage over in this right-hand side. There's not too much they could do with that advantage other than maybe look for the right-hand side mid-harpies.
Considering Kliz still has 150 seconds on his teleport, that's the whole goal of Beltway, to keep this Bellona under the wave in tower before, whenever it's more opportunistic for the Osiris player, still sitting at boots 1 at the moment, and once he's able to clear out this wave, he's going to be able to deny a little bit of golden experience because of the non-teleport available from the Bellona.
Cracking out onto Daelon. He's shredded there by oShip's ultimate. Nann's going to claim the first blood credit there thanks to the Whirlpool.
ISURUS first picking Terra, but immediate response of Poseidon by Black Dragons. You crippled the dash, you crippled the wombo combo potential from the Terra player, not able to dash through the monolith to set up the second dash or to create the dot. Basically the whole kit out of Daelon now is going to be useless if he's sitting under that whirlpool.
We heard on the Analysts desk and we saw in the Energy vs. Dial set Poseidon being picked and countering so many dashes on the side of ISURUS and back in that set, the side of Direwolves, and I think it's just such a great pick. I mean, you look at all the dashes on the side of ISURUS and how much it counters. Even, you know, Fragger's jump is going to get crippled. Daelon can't dash. Nozix can't dash. Smite can't jump out of it. It's just a great counter pick.
You know, it's not necessarily the same kind of hard CC compared to a stun, taunt, fear, nothing like that, but it's just another form of CC that can help you secure some kills. Beltway was really worried about taking that second hit from the bludgeon. You know, despite it being level 7 Bellona, it's not a maxed out bludgeon. It does a decent amount of damage, so respecting that, having to use that ultimate defensively.
But now, Black Dragons and Kliz especially are going to know that one is down, so the right-hand side, maybe look for some jungle pressure here, maybe look for an invade. You know, now that oShip's got a kill to his name, or at least an assist, I should say, he's going to have a little bit of a gold advantage over Smite.
However, getting fully topped off with the potions, with the hits from the Death Toll proc, it's going to be less tempting now for a gank here, except here comes Nann and oShip, right as I said that.
Oh, Kraken comes out along with a Nemesis ultimate. Nann claims his second of the game, and now this right-hand side is open right up for the Black Dragons.
No vision on the top-hand side of the solo lane for Beltway, just a little bit too far overextended, wanting to get off more chip damage and more poke, using that 1-2 combo, trying to slowly whittle Kliz away was not a bad idea to try to win the lane, but like I mentioned before, in the solo and the hunter role, it's never truly a one-on-one any longer.
All right, as we head towards the 7-minute mark, it is a 2-kill advantage for the Black Dragons and a little bit in terms of gold, but the experience is really the telling difference for me here. 2,500 is around the mark that Black Dragons have an advantage over ISURUS, and that's really going to start to play tell in some of these team fights.
But it doesn't really feel like that kind of an advantage on the side of Black Dragons. You know, they find that one little kill in the solo lane, but they don't overextend themselves by being able to invade any buffs. The timing window wasn't available for them, but instead going for any sort of farm that they can on their own wave, and by doing so, you're denying farm by the enemy as the tower is being able to kill that.
Again, we're seeing from Daelon going into this cooldown boots, but he is on the Terra this game like he was in game number 1, so it's still very, very useful for the side of ISURUS, but the Traveler shoes are being picked up by PIBE here, and I really like that to help his farm. Fragger, though, is just going to be clearing up this wave by himself. He's got a short bow, so along with MarcelZ, so both of these hunters looking for the Ickfile. The 1v1 fights early are gonna, you know, probably go the way of Fragger, just given the Anhur passive, and if he can get down that pillar.
You know, the Anhur passive Enfeeble does a lot of penetration after you hit the primary target, which sets up your other abilities, which is why Anhurs will try to squeeze in that in-hand in between abilities. You get the Impale off, you get the Desert Fury with the Enfeeble passive, your abilities are just going to be hitting that much harder. And like you mentioned before, earlier on in the game, Death Toll into boots, skipping out for that Transcending, wanting to go for more of an attack speed based
Daelon.
build.
Daelon getting caught out again. Nann, 3 kills in this game for him, 3 kills for Black Dragons. He gets another kill there with the Kraken, and now the Gold Fury being looked at by Black Dragons.
However, without that Kraken, it's going to be more difficult to try to confirm that objective. Smite finding the stun onto 2. Ragnarok being used. Brutalized just to cover the distance, but a nice stun for PIBE. Snipes not even necessary for MarcelZ.
Nozix forced to dash away there as well. The final judgment did come out, and that's possibly going to stop Black Dragons from being able to do this Gold Fury. The Oracle Harpies have respawned. MarcelZ stunned out there by Fragger, but a good meditation from PIBE will keep his hunter very healthy. But, you know, despite the sacrifice there from Spitero, Gold Fury was dropped by Black Dragons, but now they're back.
Fragger has Desert Fury with red buff available, has the mana to commit to that if he wants to. It's going to be a long shot, but it needs to be used if he doesn't want to cut the deficit, but not in position. He tried to rotate around the left side mid-Harpies.
He's got no mana, but a good route there from Daelon will keep his Hunter alive. Fragger, a lot of trouble, able to walk away. Nozik's going to help out with that one as well, but it looks like Black Dragons, after that game number 1, have really just flipped a switch.
Though it seems Nann on the Poseidon has been working out for them in this third game thus far, being credited with 3 kills and 1 assist, already having 100% kill participation, along with oShip being involved with every single death on the side of ISURUS. This mid-jungle synergy has truly clicked in this most important third game of the best-of-3 set.
And you can really kind of tell the playstyle difference with the mid-majors he's been playing. Game number 1, it was an Isis. After that, Vulcan, and now Poseidon, and you can really see that, you know, while yes, Isis does have circle protection, a big area of effect ultimate, it's a lot harder to get off effectively in teamfights because you really have to, it's like a double usability. You have to lay it down and you have to wait to use it for its full damage, whereas something like an Earthshaker and a Kraken are really a lot easier to get out there quicker and do a lot of area of effect damage.
Flexibility is the theme between these two mid laners. Nozik's going from Ullr to Ra to Thoth, still has been making the plays available to himself as well, but just slightly favoring Nann with these early rotations, already giving him enough of a net worth to finish off that Gem of Isolation, having the full utility with that Whirlpool.
You were saying earlier how the Whirlpool and the slow is just, it's not the same as a stun or anything like that, but it's still really effective. Beltway taking some damage here from oShip and PIBE, but he should be alright. But with the slow and the Whirlpool from Posada, it's kind of unique in Smite in that it's a CC that can be buffed by an item with this Gem of Isolation.
It's because it's a vortex, right? So you're basically trying to make the vortex even more powerful to not be able to escape that initial pull from the Whirlpool. But we saw it in the first set, actually, where it was ISURUS versus Valorous, where Daelon was doing a good job avoiding some of these Whirlpool Krakens and Nemesis combinations by going for the Winged Blade. But this time around, against a Nemesis and a Poseidon, he's elected to go away from the same option.
Terra's Blessing used here as Black Dragon started the Portal Demon. Terra jumps on the spot. oShip is going to be able to get away there from the stun from Daelon. And now that Terra's Blessing not going to count for much here. Black Dragon still feeling an advantage for themselves.
Fragger pushing away Nann from the action, jumping away before the Whirlpool commits into the damage. Daelon, though, getting caught in awkward position. The Nemesis ulti being committed. Eagles rally over the top. Going into the sky is MarcelZ. Finds one, finding two, but on the wrong target. Third one does connect, forcing one of them out of the fight.
Kraken was used, and Beltway and Smitero forced to jump away. Portal Demon can be looked at again by the side of Black Dragons. They're going to push the mid-wave towards the tower and then take the Portal Demon and extend their lead. Nann,
instead of going for that 0 mid-tower against Nozik and Fragger, just going to stay with his teammates. 12 minutes in, Black Dragons looking really strong. They found the first Gold Fury 3 minutes ago. Now they're finding the Portal Demon, extending their goal lead to about 4,500 gold.
It's just such a rough situation for ISURUS to be in. They're used to having this early pressure, I feel like, and since they haven't been able to have it after, you know, game number 1, they've looked a little bit unsure of themselves.
They were very patient in game number 1 between the Chang'e and the Terra combination, making sure they had that sustain, and it didn't really matter with Black Dragons in that first game because of the flexibility. There was more margin of error allowed for ISURUS because of the sustain comp, but now this aggressive composition with Smitero playing Fenrir, Beltway, Osiris, Nozik with the top, which has long-range artillery, it doesn't give you much flexibility. It's pretty hard all-in commitment.
There's the Whirlpool coming out from Nann. Smitero taking a lot of damage, and, you know, kind of back on the topic, you were talking about flexibility with a lot of these players, and Smitero, you know, we've seen him play an excellent Hun-Bats, and, you know, even he's had a couple of other good gods, but now he's on this Fenrir, which, you know, is a little bit similar to Hun-Bats, where you jump in, you're looking to do some damage, but the difference between the Fenrir and the Hun-Bats is that the Fear No Evil ultimate on the Hun-Bats can spread out the team. It's a lot safer for you to jump in, whereas with a Fenrir, sometimes you can get punished.
It's close range initiation from Smitero's Fenrir compared to the last time with the Hun-Bats. You go blink Hun-Bats, very easy to get off that great ultimate engagement, but for the Fenrir, going for this Breastplate of Valor, I like the mindset whenever you can spam the Unchained, especially reducing the cooldown by half if you do hit that ability, which hits pretty hard, so you don't necessarily need the physical power to scale that ability, as the base damage is good enough as intended. Not only that, you're trying to really force out beats from one player in particular, together by constantly Ragnaroking them over and over.
MarcelZ, this Rama, actually getting the pressure onto Fragger in this lane, pushing a minion wave under the tower. Fragger, though, you know, still holding his own in this lane, but definitely MarcelZ in this realm, you know, we started to see a little bit why it's banned away from him so often.
Surprisingly enough, Fragger going for the health shouts, but Kliz taking a lot of damage against Beltway. Forced to retreat under the tier 1 tower. Does have teleport to be able to come back into the lane anyway, but as I was talking about the Hunter matchup, because of the tier 2 short sword coming out of MarcelZ, he's able to win these trades every single time.
I'm looking at nozzix as well, and we haven't seen too much out of him this game. It is Thoth, not too much early damage, but looking at the team compositions, the late game seems to be with Black Dragons primarily. You know, you've got your Nemesis, you've got your Rama, even the Bellona. She's good all game, but late game especially, she can be devastating. On the side of ISURUS, it's got to be nozzix to do something. Black Dragons take another Gold Fury. oShip pops the Nemesis ultimate, in goes Kliz. They're looking for nozzix, and Kliz is going to claim the life of the mid laner.
There's nobody there to protect their mid-top player. Yet again, ISURUS playing rather selfishly. Nobody playing off of one another. PIBE is tanking the tier 1 tower as long as he can. Goes into the draconic form for that AoE coerce, and now tier 1 mid tower taking a fall momentarily.
Fragger in a lot of trouble here. Smitera taking a lot of damage as well as he goes up with the Ragnarok form. MarcelZ looks for the snipes, but he doesn't need to as he supports. Going to claim the kill. Beltway trying to keep the enemy team away from his mid 2-2 tower. PIBE is going to fall, and that's going to be the first kill for ISURUS, but really, Black Dragons come out on top there. They get a tier 1 tower, they get the Gold Fury, and they get some kills.
The Brazilian team secures the Gold Fury, but at what cost? After tier 1 mid tower, they lose 2 players there. PIBE taking the spill, trying to really commit heavily under that tier 1 mid tower. You know, they found Smite, they found nozzix, but because of how low they are, they're going to lose their tier 1 tower in middle.
Kliz coming in around the back, and then it looks like they're actually going to hold on to this tower. Fragger forced to jump away. Kliz and oShip and MarcelZ holding this one out, but now oShip's in a lot of trouble here. He's taking a lot of damage, but this Nemesis is able to keep himself alive. Here comes the rest of ISURUS. nozzix, here he is. He's showing up, and he claims the life of Kliz.
Oh, was channeling the final judgment. Didn't want to commit to it quite yet. The long-range damage between nozzix and Fraggers really caught Kliz slipping there. Doesn't have that much defenses. Just finishing off Mystical Mail now, really working on that height of an enemy line, trying to return a lot of the damage from these late game hyper carries.
Again, though, a lack of investment into magical defense. We didn't see him go into any magical defense until about his 4th or 5th item slot last time. And, you know, at the start of this game, you could really afford to avoid it because, you know, it's only the Thoth. It's not going to be doing terribly much damage. Terra's not going to do anything to us all, and he's hardly ever on that side of the map. But now that the Thoth is starting to build up some of that damage, now that nozzix is starting to get on a roll, this is the time we need to see some investment to that side of the defensive tree.
I would agree with you, but you're looking at the other side, Nann sitting at level 15. He's going to be doing a lot of damage just off of the levels alone, right? His build doesn't necessarily represent the amount of damage capabilities that's able to come out of this Poseidon, but as he's going to hit level 17 first, that Kraken is just going to be detrimental towards the team fight damage coming out of Black Dragons, and having the Fatalis and the Gem of Isolation, it's going to be a lot of mobility and anti-mobility on the side of ISURUS.
Portal Demon started up now by the Black Dragons. Nann trying to keep away Daelon, and he's found himself in a couple of sticky situations over this series, you know, poking his head around objectives and just getting absolutely bursted down. Thus far, though, he's been safe in this one. Portal Demon is started up, it's about 50% HP, and now Black Dragons looking to commit to a fight.
Nann was trying to find the right whirlpool, finding the slice and dice onto Smitero and Daelon, regrouping around the mid lane. Still not flirting with the idea quite yet with that Portal Demon. Gold Fury still down for another 2 minutes, and all the attention by both teams shifted to the right side of the map.
Black Dragons leashing this Portal Demon back and forth between their members, not wanting to overcommit just yet. Now it looks like they're trying to pull the trigger here. In dashes Daelon, he's looking for PIBE. Portal Demon is reset. Final judgment from nozzix. He's looking for a target. He holds that one wisely though, but Smitero, that's opened him up to jump onto the Poseidon. Out comes the Nemesis ultimate onto the Fenrir, into the sky as MarcelZ is looking for the snipes as Beltway picks up one. oShip picks up Daelon, and no snipes land there for MarcelZ, and Black Dragons now, they're turning this one around as Nann picks up Smitero. PIBE picks up nozzix. Fragger left all alone as Beltway's going to retreat.
3 for 1. Black Dragons getting the better end of it. Smitero diving Nann for just 2 love, but hold out. Fragger catching Nann out of position, but peeling off of it is PIBE finding the stun onto Fragger, forcing the purification beads. Portal Demon secured by Black Dragons. But like I have to mention before, Smite Terra, he needed to try to get something going for his team, diving the back line, almost at such a desperate measure that he just said, I'm either going to get killed by this Poseidon or I'm going to take him out myself.
It almost worked out for him, except oShip managed to get a very long-range Divine Judgment onto him, reduced his protection, took out so much of his health that Nann was able to keep fighting that 1v1 despite taking so much initial damage from the Fenrir.
Not only that, the snipes from MarcelZ was also assisting against this Fenrir player. He had to jump away, but there was a lot of patience out of Nann, not committing to the Kraken because the Aegis amulet was still available for Smite Terra. That's a very important factor whenever you're playing Poseidon. You could force the Aegises, but you'd rather just wait for that to be used by some other ability to confirm these kills.
Right-hand side, Tier 1 tower falls the way of Black Dragons. 8,000 gold in the lead now is the team from Brazil. Smitero and Beltway farming desperately. oShip taking a fight here with Fragger. They're equal levels. Gets a lot of damage down, and that shield's going to keep himself healthy, but, you know, not really looking to commit to that one as the Gold Fury is respawning. Not
quite yet wanting to commit, like you mentioned. Trying to get the vision control is both teams. MarcelZ grouping up in that duel lane. The Whirlpool of the Kraken. No relics, no life for Fragger.
Gold Fury now should be relatively free for the Black Dragons. In fact, everyone on the side of ISURUS is heading towards this right-hand side. No major objective on that side other than the Fire Giant, but it'd be a crazy call for them to go for it. And already the Gold Fury is down for the side of Black Dragons, and the left-hand side is completely open for them. They should get a free at least Tier 1 tower out of this.
So much of an advantage that MarcelZ didn't even commit towards getting that Gold Fury with his team. Instead, just calmly pushing down the dueling, trusting that his teammates will be able to hold off any sort of contestment from the side of ISURUS. Even going for the Tier 2 tower. Zoning is oShip as MarcelZ easily melts this tower like butter.
Very healthy is a side of Black Dragons now as well. ISURUS again finding themselves at a little bit of a loss. They're now down 13,000 gold.
This has just been quite a sight to see out of Black Dragons. Losing the first game, rather disheartening, I would say, for them, considering that they had some sorts of moments of brilliance in that first game. It just was such a long game that all it took was one team fight, and the game was slipped right under their feet. Second game, though, they turned things around, going for the Susanoo for oShip, making the plays happen. Third game, though, Nann going off on a tear with this Poseidon completely countering the whole god composition out of ISURUS.
One of the, continuing kind of on that theme, what I really noticed out of Black Dragons is their ability to adapt and to learn, even just on the fly. I was talking during the break with the coach of rival, Alpha Jackal, and, you know, he's been watching Black Dragons play, and he noticed that, you know, kind of early on in this tournament, they didn't really kind of know what to do once they found themselves an advantage, once they found themselves with a lead. And he noted that, you know, now that they've been getting some of these advantages, they're starting to really, you know, look towards these objectives and play around these objectives a lot more.
They have the experience, and to be fair, ISURUS had a little bit of a warm-up earlier on as they did take out Valorous 3-0. Still not really deterred Black Dragons despite going into this series closed. They're looking very strong in this Game 3.
In dashes, Daelon here roots a couple of members. Kliz taking actually a fair bit of damage there from Fragger and Nozix.
Looking for still more sort of zoning here is Black Dragons. Looking as Kliz leading the front line with PIBE. Ship is right around the corner. Jumping on in. Let's listen in to Black Dragons as they look to secure the Game 3.
Volta. O Anhur tá sem active na esquerda.
Vai fazendo, faz aí que eu tô vivo.
Ei, o Anhur tá sem active na esquerda.
Aí é pra você, tipo, você não pode ir pra direita.
Vamos pegar essa terra,
Porque tem um Thoth aqui.
Esse cara tá sem active.
Eu tunei. Thoth sem deck.
Mata.
Ó o Fragger.
Boa.
Fire.
Eu vou por esse tentar no meio.
Esse Thoth tem ult ainda?
Não, ele
Não, ele tá na fight,
We heard the kind of target calls there from Black Dragons. They saw Fragger committed and just turned on him straight away, and then the call immediately for the Fire Giant after that Anhur's taken down, and Black Dragons gonna secure that one at 23 minutes into the game.
Very focused out of the communications, very calm. You know, they're not overwhelmingly cluttering the communications to make it unbearable for anybody within the team heading into the almost 24-minute mark. Black Dragons with the Fire Giant with a commanding almost 15,000 gold lead.
And this is kind of looking like a very different ISURUS squad to what we saw up against Team Valorous. And even in game number 1, you were saying there that Black Dragon's very calm, very certain of what they wanted to do. ISURUS just not really looking that way. And we heard even in the comms when they won game 1, very, very emotional as a team. And, you know, do you think that could be playing into their performance?
I would have to say yes, absolutely. So you ride or die based off of your emotions. You take it for every game for what it's worth. Maybe they let the game 1 get into their heads a little bit too much, and game 2 didn't really help them out heading into game 3, obviously. So this is looking very scary. Trying to go for a risky play, though. They're not going to win this base race against a Fire Giant squad.
They might lose a Phoenix here for pretty much free. And it looks like, yeah, Fragger's not even going to be able to get into contest this one. Middle Phoenix falls down. Kraken comes out and does a decent amount of damage, but no kills secured. That's all right, though, for Black Dragons. They're happy to kind of poke them out a little bit and then look towards maybe another objective. They see that the tier 2 tower is still up on the right-hand side, and they're going to go for that objective next.
Well, the Purification and the Aegises of both Fenrir and Anhur wasn't even available, but the Kraken was slightly off the mark, so both of those two players will stay standing for the time being, can still hold on to maybe at least one more Phoenix without that big important Kraken coming out of Nann.
I'm looking at oShip's build. He's got an Executioner. It looks like he's going in towards a Wind Demon. It's a little bit of a non-traditional Nemesis build.
Well, if you look at the build in conjunction with MarcelZ, he built a very late Executioner. It seemed like there might have been a slight miscommunication error, but regardless of the fact, it will synergize with Kliz. If oShip and Kliz hit the same target, that's going to be able to really melt that target down, especially with that hot Nemesis ult.
I mean, why go for the Executioner over something like a Chin size?
Well, you're trying to just get the power spike. It could have been a time where he wanted to back and finish an item, go for the Fire Giant objective, didn't have the 1450 gold, only probably had the 1000, and that's why a lot of players will tend to overlook, especially when you're this far ahead, the difference between Shin size and Executioner is not the biggest deal if your next power play will be the Fire Giant.
Portal Demon secured there by Black Dragons, and you know, listening into their comms again, you said they're sounding very calm, and that's what they need to do, because as we said, and we seen on the analyst desk as well, the winner of this game advances to tomorrow, the loser goes home, and tomorrow they're facing up against Eager, the North American #1 seed, and that's got to be a pretty scary experience for either of these teams.
Considering that you never really know what to expect out of Eager, they could do one thing online, do completely a different thing on land, you know, bringing out the Anubis at Worlds, just completely catching a lot of people off guard, including the players that they were dealing against. That's not something that I would be extremely worried if I was Black Dragons.
Yeah, if Anubis and proxying between the tier 1 and tier 2 tower on the first wave is something they pulled out of Worlds. What can they pull out of this tournament? Right-hand side Phoenix, though, for ISURUS Gaming is falling down, and so are their chances of advancing to day 2.
Black Dragons, they want to secure this last remaining Phoenix, take out all possible measures that are standing in their way, make the Titan at its most vulnerable form. Terra's Blessing being used, trying to dive the backline, but Osiris, it's just not enough, really. Whirlpool Kraken doing a lot of damage.
Beltway in a lot of trouble, a lot of the afterlife out, but here comes Kliz diving in. Kliz picks up a kill. MarcelZ with the snipes doesn't quite land them, but that's okay. He's looking for the Phoenix. oShip finds one. Nann finds another. oShip gets his second. It's just Daelon, and there's nothing this Terra can do. Brazil is advancing to day #2 of the Smite Masters.
Congratulations to Black Dragons defeating ISURUS after losing the first game. They were not worried at all. They made the necessary adjustments. They're going to advance to day #2.
And you look at this, they're still calm. They recognize that, you know, this is just one set. This is just the start of their tournament run. And, you know, they look like a very disciplined team. I'm very interested to see what they can do up against a very janky Eager squadron.
Well, they're going to have to adjust their strategies, because whatever Eager's going to throw at Black Dragons are going to have to throw 10 times just as hard.
Yeah. And one advantage Eager has, obviously, is they've been able to sit down and watch these games, watch Black Dragons perform, watch them against ISURUS, and, you know, they're going to, you know, I'm sure they're going to be cooking away in Zapman's room after today and coming up with strategies and, you know, nifty little things to do.
You know, there's advantages and disadvantages. Being warmed up a little bit at a land and setting environment is going to be slightly advantageous for Black Dragons. Eager might be going in slightly cold, but either way, still going to be quite a sight to see for tomorrow.
Exactly right. So let's head back over to the analyst desk now and break down the last game of the day. Thom, take it away.
I appreciate it using my combo. We're here breaking down our rubber match here. And this one gets taken away by the Brazilians. Black Dragons come up on top. This one in dominating fashion. We're talking about 20,000 gold, give or take, 15 kills above ISURUS. This one is certainly lopsided.
Yeah, they definitely looked very strong. There was a moment in the mid-game where I thought they were maybe going to start throwing away that lead, but they rallied back together, got back to where they were playing, and then they just steamrolled from there, playing those Fire Giant fights superbly with their lead.
To be completely fair, though, to Black Dragons, I think that ultimately they were getting the better end of the majority of these games. It just seemed like one or two team fights that wouldn't go in their direction that ultimately spiraled things out of control for them. But this time around, they weren't about it. They wanted to lock it in, and now they're secured and on their way to face Eager.
This is what we call karma, ladies and gentlemen. I think that both of these teams were evenly matched. However, last night in my ranked qualifiers, popular Latin American commentator Firebug beat me with Bakasura. And so because of him, Brazil takes the crown. They'll be heading out against Eager tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about the bracket that we're going to see tomorrow. Today was sort of the preliminary setting the table of everything, if you will. The matches that go on throughout the rest of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, will really be the meat and potatoes of what is Masters here in the springtime. Team Eager takes on Black Dragons. That's the direct result of what we saw today. But Obey Alliance versus Energy Esports. Woo! Your quarterfinals match. That's a Worlds rematch.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very exciting game, to be honest. I think it's probably going to be a bit of a stomp for those Obey boys. You know, they came out there this season only dropping one game in the online spring split. We saw first game of the set. They absolutely dominated NRG. I just really can't see anything but an Obey 2-0 here.
When it comes down to it, you know, it's really tough being an analyst because you can't show any bias. And
No,
I
no
think
bias
you're doing a really
whatsoever.
good job.
Yeah.
Should always make sure that you're well-rounded as far as what teams you choose to support. Every now and then you can occasionally decide to drop a little bit of preference. You know, I would say that's what you've done. Why don't you tell us how you really feel, Hayzer?
Well, I'm not really sure who's on Energy. Are they European?
The aggro pistol is so appropriate right now.
So, speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, Kliz is standing by with our very own aggro.
Thanks, Thom. And here's Kliz. He's a solo laner for Black Dragons. They just punched their ticket to play Eager tomorrow. Kliz, you guys lost game one in that set. What was the team morale like after that first game?
Like, we already lost one finals, Reverse Sweep versus Red Canids last year to DreamHack. So I think after that, we really fixed our mindset so we don't get affected by like first losses or something in ISURUS.
Well, it seems like you guys had definitely held together very well, and you kept your energy up. We did a couple listen-ins with you guys. You guys are right there yelling. How fun is that to be in an environment like this where you're just screaming with your friends?
I really love lanes, man. Like, especially playing against ISURUS, which is a friend of ours, like their screen partners.
Sure.
So it's really fun just to yell at them and then yell at those when they're winning.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, no doubt about it. But you guys have a tough task up against Eager tomorrow. How are you feeling against them?
I mean, I don't really like our performance in today, even though we won. I think if we fix some stuff, we can make like a better performance and maybe give a good show.
Well, I'm hoping for it. You got any shout-outs before we go, man?
Shout out to Black Dragons for our sponsors, to everyone that supported us, and my team for carrying me this game 3.
Well, that was a lot of fun to watch, Kliz. Good luck tomorrow, and we're going to throw it back to Des to wrap up day one.
Thanks a lot, Aggro. Nice tie, by the way. As we get into this one, you know what? You gave us a little bit of a fun look at the bracket, but let's take a more serious look at tomorrow's matches. Eager takes on Black Dragons and Kliz, as we said earlier. But Obey versus Energy. I'm going to ask the other person on the desk here. Taco, how are you feeling about this one?
This will, I think this match is going to speak volumes as far as how the matchup against Luminosity and Team Rival is going to be concerned, because whoever comes out on top from Obey versus NRG, either way, I mean, Hayzer has to worry about Rival beating Luminosity and then Jackal being the better coach.
Ooh.
So there's always that concern in the back of his mind. And NRG in general, just they've got to worry about a possible rematch themselves against Luminosity, who I'm sure is looking to draw blood as well.
Or even Rival, who they just got 2-1 by in the Gauntlet EU finals. So yeah, I think it's a scary matchup for any team that gets through.
And then on the bottom, Team Dignitas takes on Soar Gaming. Both of those teams are very strong on paper, but have struggled throughout their own respective individual seasons. Soar having just some stutter steps and winding up with a new solo laner, fine, okay. And then across the way, Team Dignitas just not being as dominant as perhaps they should be. So that one should be very interesting as well. Fantastic time setting the table here for what's going to go on tomorrow. I certainly can't wait. This might be the end of the broadcast, but that doesn't mean it's the end of Smite for you tonight. Go ahead and log on and you can buy yourself a Hocus Pocus chest. And just like zap, there it is. I got the graphic up there with my own mind. This weekend, 25% off the Hocus Pocus chest. Watch this, we're going to come back to the desk. Ready? Zap! Zap! There it is.
Just like magic, man.
Yeah, I just had to reload. That's all.
Real Houdini.
Yeah, that's Houdini was an escape artist, not an illusionist.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
It does. Tricks are for... I can't say that one. My name is Thom Badinger, and I was joined by Hayzer, Taco, Anatoliy, Agro, and Hindu Man are our commentators. Thank you so much for Sporks, as well as Ataraxia for joining us. HughZ from Down Under representing the Australian Cabas, and everybody in between. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on hi-rez TV.